love of all things mystical and magical, all things bright and beautiful, really.
Jimmy Page is now 82 years old, and even after decades away from releasing a full studio album, his name still hits harder than almost anybody in rock history. Forbes magazine recently ranked him as the greatest rock guitarist ever, putting him above every legendary name that came before or after him. That alone got people talking. But what came next shocked the music world even more. For over 50 years, Page kept one massive secret buried deep behind the walls of fame, money, and rock history.
I was very interested, actually, in Eastern and Western mysticism.
His bandmates stayed quiet about it. Managers reportedly kept it hidden. Industry insiders avoided the topic completely. But now, with nothing left to prove and no reason to stay silent anymore, Jimmy Page has finally started opening up. What he revealed has left longtime Led Zeppelin fans stunned, and people are now looking at the band's legacy in a completely different way. On January 9th, 2025, Jimmy Page officially turned 81 years old. Even at this stage of his life, the list of honors around his name is wild. He received the Officer of the Order of the British Empire for his charity work connected to Brazil. He earned a Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award alongside Led Zeppelin. Universities like Surrey and Berklee College of Music handed him honorary doctorates because of his impact on music history. The recognition did not stop there. In 2010, Page received a United Nations Award for Peace. Then in December 2012, President Obama personally honored him during the Kennedy Center celebrations. He was even named an honorary citizen of Rio de Janeiro. Forbes later crowned Led Zeppelin the greatest rock band of all time, while calling Jimmy Page the mastermind behind the group's sound and image. Inside his famous London home, Tower House, Page has quietly built one of the most mysterious music archives on the planet. The collection reportedly includes original Led Zeppelin master tapes, rare instruments from every era of his career, unseen photographs, handwritten documents, artwork, and unreleased recordings that barely anyone has heard. Some fans believe there are still hidden tracks locked away that could completely rewrite parts of rock history. In 2024, Jimmy Page got fans talking again when his social media suddenly started posting about the 1993 Coverdale Page album. Rumors exploded about an expanded re-release, possibly featuring an unheard track called Saccharine. David Coverdale had hinted at a box set back in 2018, but nothing ever came from it, making the whole thing feel even more mysterious. Nobody knows if Page is planning something brand new or just revisiting old material, but he keeps teasing surprises. In a 2020 interview with Classic Rock magazine, Page said, "I am never not doing something, and I am never not doing something that is going to surprise people." Fans now think he meant it completely. He also spoke about regrets and staying positive through obstacles, comments that suddenly feel much more meaningful now. Page's personal life has also kept people curious for decades. His daughter, Scarlett Page, became a successful photographer, while his son, James Patrick Page III, was born during his marriage to model Patricia. Later, he had two daughters, Zofia Jade and Ashen Josanne, with Jimena Gomez Paracha, whose charity work helped Page receive his OBE honor. Then there's poet Scarlett Sabet, who has spent years by Page's side inside the famous Tower House. Their relationship grabbed non-stop tabloid attention because of their age gap and the fact that she shares the same first name as Page's oldest daughter. During a 2020 Tatler interview, Sabet dismissed the criticism while speaking inside the legendary mansion Page once refused to sell to David Bowie. Speaking about their relationship, Sabet said, "It is funny because on paper there is a massive difference. But when he is standing in front of me, it is not something I feel. It is not something that impedes us." Her comments instantly sparked more conversation because people were fascinated by how private and guarded Page had remained for so many years. What shocked many fans even more is how different Jimmy Page's life looks today compared to his chaotic rock and roll years. The man once surrounded by non-stop touring, heavy partying, and dangerous excess now lives a far quieter life.
Somebody said, oh, it says My Sweet Satan in it, and I thought, oh gosh.
Page has reportedly been sober for years, and Sabe described that lifestyle not as a restriction, but as something they both value deeply. Instead of the wild image people remember from the 1970s, Page now spends time cooking meals in Holland Park and living a calm, creative life behind closed doors. Even without releasing major new material in decades, his legacy already feels untouchable. He reportedly bought the Victorian Gothic mansion in 1972 after learning David Bowie wanted it too, outbidding him and turning the home into rock history. With golden ceilings, stained glass, Led Zeppelin 4 alone has sold more than 37 million copies worldwide, making it one of the biggest albums ever released. What makes it even crazier is that Led Zeppelin officially ended back in December 1980, yet the band still outsells many modern artists who are actively touring and dropping new music today. Jimmy Page was not just the guitarist in that machine. He helped design nearly every part of it, from the guitar tones and album artwork to the mysterious symbols printed onto the records, the business structure, the concert deals, and the way the band controlled its image. Page had influence everywhere. Music historians still say he helped rewrite the rules of the rock industry completely. Today, Page remains alive, focused, creative, and still surrounded by decades of material inside one of the most unusual homes in London. Tower House is packed with instruments, recordings, artwork, and memories from every stage of his career. By all signs, he still has projects in motion, and fans believe there may be even more hidden material waiting to surface someday. Author Bob Spitz once said Jimmy Page created more than music. He built a blueprint that changed rock bands forever. Even after trends fade, Page's influence still echoes through generations. But before the fame and mystery, he was just a quiet 12-year-old kid in Surrey who found an abandoned guitar that changed his life forever. And giant fireplaces. The place feels more like a hidden castle than a normal house. Page has spent decades there protecting rare archives and quietly working on secret projects. One surprising chapter of his later life began in 2013 at a poetry reading in Chelsea, where he met young poet Scarlett Sabe. Page later recalled, "The whole place hushed while she read her poems. The two slowly became close, and by 2014 they were officially together." When tabloids exposed the relationship in 2015, media attention exploded because of their age gap, with Page at 71 and Sabe at 25. Reports even claimed security had to escort her through photographers and reporters. In a 2020 Tatler interview, Sabe admitted the backlash felt overwhelming, saying, "I felt like my life was going to be over." But despite all the pressure and non-stop headlines, the relationship did not fall apart. According to people close to them, it actually grew stronger over time. By 2019, Page had even produced a spoken word album for Sabet titled Catalyst, which was recorded inside the basement studio at Tower House. Fans were surprised to see Page working on such a different kind of creative project after decades of being tied almost entirely to rock music. In that same Tatler interview, Sabet also described a side of Jimmy Page that the public almost never sees. She said, "He is not just my partner. He is my best friend and the person who makes me laugh the most. He does not drink. He has seen all sides of that coin. He has lost best friends." Those words painted a much quieter and more reflective picture of the rock icon than the wild image many people still connect to Led Zeppelin's peak years. Now, the man many fans thought they already understood spends his days far away from the chaos that once surrounded his name. Inside the incredible Tower House in Holland Park, Page reportedly lives a calm and private life. with family visits, creative work, and very little interest in celebrity attention. People expecting non-stop parties and rock star madness would probably be shocked by how ordinary and peaceful his daily life appears today. To understand why Jimmy Page still towers over rock music, you have to go back to Surrey in 1956. Before the fame, he was just a quiet 12-year-old kid who found an abandoned guitar in his family's new house and became obsessed with it. Page taught himself by listening to records instead of taking lessons for long. He later said, "I got bored, so I learned by listening to records." That self-taught style helped shape the sound that would later change rock forever. He studied guitar legends like Scotty Moore, Cliff Gallup, Elmore James, and B.B. King with intense focus. One of his biggest inspirations was skiffle star Lonnie Donegan, whose raw sound made music feel possible for ordinary people to create. That idea completely changed Page's mindset and pushed him deeper into music. At just 13 years old, Page appeared on BBC One with his skiffle group performing "Mama Don't Want to Skiffle Anymore." When asked about his future, he surprisingly said he wanted to work in biological research and help cure cancer. By 15, after reportedly clashing with a school official who mocked his music dreams, Page quit school with only 4 O-levels and never looked back. That decision changed his life forever. At Ewell County Secondary School, Jimmy Page learned his first real guitar chords from older student Rod Wyatt and practiced non-stop with friends at his house. He carried his guitar everywhere, even to school, where teachers constantly confiscated it during class because he would not stop playing. After leaving school with only 4 qualifications, Page joined Neil Christian's band, the Crusaders, touring England and playing rock and roll covers. But non-stop travel and rough conditions destroyed his health, and he eventually developed glandular fever, forcing him off the road. While recovering at Sutton Art College, Page still played music constantly. He performed at London's famous Marquee Club, where future legends like Eric Clapton, Jeff Beck, and Ginger Baker also played while trying to break into the exploding music scene. Soon, producers noticed his talent. In 1963, Page recorded Diamonds with Jet Harris and Tony Meehan, and the song quickly hit #1 in the UK. At only 19, he became one of Britain's busiest session guitarists, secretly playing on huge records, while most fans had no idea. Inside studios, he was nicknamed Lil Jim P to avoid confusion with another famous guitarist, Big Jim Sullivan. Between 1963 and 1966, the number of recordings Jimmy Page appeared on became almost unbelievable. The list was so massive that even longtime music fans struggled to keep track of it all. He played rhythm guitar on The Who's debut single, I Can't Explain. He added acoustic 12-string guitar to tracks on the Kinks' first album. He appeared on Marianne Faithfull's As Tears Go By, and even contributed to Shirley Bassey's legendary James Bond theme, Goldfinger, beneath John Barry's huge orchestral arrangement. And that was only part of it. Page also appeared on recording sessions connected to Donovan, Joe Cocker, Petula Clark, Tom Jones, Cliff Richard, and even David Bowie's early work with the Manish Boys. His guitar playing started popping up everywhere across British pop music, even though his name rarely appeared on the records themselves. Some music industry estimates later claimed Page may have played on nearly 60% of all songs that reached the UK top 10 between 1963 and 1965. That statistic sounds almost unreal, but it shows just how heavily the music world depended on him during that period. Producers trusted him because he could walk into almost any session and instantly deliver exactly what the song needed. Fellow musicians quickly noticed his talent too. One artist later recalled, "I remember him having a reputation almost before I turned professional. I think he was the youngest session musician until I came along." There was a growing feeling inside London studios that Jimmy Page was becoming impossible to ignore. Musicians loved when Jimmy Page showed up for recording sessions because he brought fresh energy and sharp instincts into the studio. Page later admitted the workload became insane, saying, "I was playing at least 3 sessions a day, 6 days a week." Eventually, the non-stop pressure burned him out, especially when he started getting calls to record Muzak music. That was the breaking point, and Page quit the session world completely. But only a week later, the Yardbirds contacted him. Years earlier, Page had already turned down chances to join the band, even recommending his friend Jeff Beck instead. Still, he kept watching the music scene closely and waiting for the right moment. Then, in 1966, everything changed during the famous Beck's Bolero session with Jeff Beck, John Paul Jones, Keith Moon, and Nicky Hopkins. The chemistry was so explosive that talk of forming a supergroup immediately started. During those conversations, Keith Moon joked the band would go down like a lead balloon, while John Entwistle called it a Led Zeppelin. Most people forgot the joke, but Page never did. That random comment later became one of the most legendary names in rock history. Jimmy Page joined the Yardbirds in 1966, first on bass before teaming up with Jeff Beck in a rare twin-lead guitar lineup that fans still call legendary. But the partnership ended quickly when Beck left later that year, leaving Page to lead the band into a much heavier and more experimental sound. Their 1967 album, Little Games, struggled commercially, but live shows became wild and unpredictable. Songs turned into long improvisations, and Page shocked crowds by using a cello bow on his guitar to create eerie sounds almost nobody in rock had heard before. Those performances later became the blueprint for Led Zeppelin's famous live shows. By 1968, the Yardbirds were falling apart, with members leaving and Page left holding the band together alone. Instead of quitting, he started building a brand new group from scratch. Page first wanted singer Terry Reid, but Reid turned him down and recommended a young vocalist named Robert Plant instead. That suggestion changed rock history. When Page saw Plant perform at a small college show in 1968, he reportedly knew almost immediately he had found the voice he needed. After the show, Page approached him directly and said, "I think we should get together. If you are interested, come down and spend some time at my place." That simple conversation kicked open the door to one of the biggest partnerships in rock history. Robert Plant then recommended his close friend John Bonham for drums, but recruiting Bonham turned out to be harder than Page expected. Bonham already had several offers from other groups, and according to reports, his wife Pat was skeptical about whether Plant's promises of success would actually happen. That hesitation almost changed everything. Page finally watched Bonham perform live during a Tim Rose concert on July 31, 1968, and his reaction was immediate. "I had never seen anyone quite like Bonzo. That was it. I knew that he was going to be perfect." Bonham's thunderous drumming style reportedly blew Page away within minutes. The final piece came from John Paul Jones, who contacted Page directly after his wife spotted a newspaper article about the new band Page was assembling. Jones had become highly successful as a session musician and arranger, making excellent money in studios. But he had grown tired of the work and wanted something bigger creatively. When Jones reached out and offered his services as a bassist, Page reportedly agreed without hesitation. The chemistry was obvious from the start. In August 1968, the 4 musicians played together for the first time inside a small rehearsal room beneath a record store on Gerrard Street in London. That basement session changed rock history forever. Manager Peter Grant soon adjusted the spelling from Led Zeppelin to Led Zeppelin because he worried radio DJs might pronounce the word lead incorrectly. It seemed like a tiny detail at the time, but the name quickly became legendary across the music world. By late 1968, Led Zeppelin was already touring the United States. 4 musicians who had come together almost by accident were suddenly building one of the biggest rock bands in history. But the fame, pressure, and non-stop chaos would eventually come with a heavy price for everyone in the group. Led Zeppelin's success was no accident. Jimmy Page carefully shaped almost everything: the music, the image, and even the business side. Every one of their 9 studio albums reached the Billboard Top 10 in the US, with 6 hitting #1. Worldwide, the band sold an estimated 200 to 300 million records, while Led Zeppelin 4 alone moved over 37 million copies. Even more shocking, Stairway to Heaven became one of the most played songs in rock radio history without ever being released as a US single. Atlantic Records chairman Ahmet Ertegun later praised Page, saying he developed a magical, distinctive style. By 1974, Led Zeppelin had become so powerful they launched their own label, Swan Song Records, giving themselves rare control over their music and business decisions at a time when most bands had almost none. Their legendary manager Peter Grant also changed the concert business forever. Grant negotiated touring agreements where Led Zeppelin received roughly 90% of ticket revenue, a figure that completely shocked the industry. Before that, promoters held most of the power and profits. After Led Zeppelin, artists everywhere started demanding better deals because the band had proven it was possible. The machine they built became massive, relentless, and extremely profitable. But behind the scenes, the non-stop touring, pressure, and excess were taking a heavy toll. In a 2003 interview with Q magazine, Page spoke openly about his substance use during that era with unusual honesty. "I do not regret it at all because when I needed to be really focused, I was really focused. Both Presence and In Through the Outdoor were only recorded in 3 weeks. That is really going some. You have got to be on top of it." Those comments reflected how intense life inside Led Zeppelin had become. Even while dealing with chaos around them, the band somehow continued creating massive records at unbelievable speed. But eventually, the pressure turned into tragedy. In 1977, during Led Zeppelin's massive US tour, Robert Plant's 5-year-old son, Karak, suddenly passed away in England. The band canceled the tour immediately, and friends later said the tragedy deeply changed Plant forever. Jimmy Page later admitted, "I could not even look at my guitar because it was part and parcel of the band." Then came the moment that ended Led Zeppelin completely. On September 25, 1980, drummer John Bonham died at Page's house in Windsor after reportedly consuming a huge amount of alcohol. He was only 32 years old, and the shock devastated the music world. The remaining members felt Led Zeppelin could never continue without Bonham's legendary drumming. In December 1980, the band officially broke up, ending one of the biggest rock groups in history. Afterward, Page almost disappeared from public life for nearly 2 years while struggling with the collapse of everything he had built. Another mysterious part of Page's story was his fascination with the occult and the writings of Aleister Crowley. Page became interested in mysticism at just 15 years old and later said he felt intellectually inspired by Crowley's ideas, though the topic would eventually fuel years of rumors and controversy around Led Zeppelin. By 1970, Page had taken things even further by opening an occult bookstore on Kensington High Street in London. Around the same period, he also purchased the infamous Boleskine House, a remote mansion sitting along the southern shore of Loch Ness in Scotland. The property already carried a dark reputation for decades before Page ever stepped inside it. Aleister Crowley had bought Boleskine House back in 1899 because he planned to perform an intense 6-month ceremonial ritual there. According to stories tied to the property, Crowley reportedly left before finishing the ritual completely, which later fueled rumors and ghost stories connected to the house for generations afterward. The mansion itself already had a disturbing history. Local legends claimed the property stood near the remains of a church that had once burned down during a service, reportedly killing people inside. stories surrounding previous owners added even more mystery, with rumors of tragedies and unexplained events attached to the estate long before Page became involved with it. People connected to Jimmy Page's former mansion, Boleskine House, described strange noises, moving objects, and eerie experiences inside the property. In a 1975 Rolling Stone interview, Page added even more mystery by saying, "A man was beheaded there, and sometimes you can hear his head rolling down." His comments only fueled the legends surrounding him. That fascination with symbolism also shaped Led Zeppelin's famous fourth album in 1971. Instead of a title, the cover featured 4 mysterious symbols, including Page's famous Zoso symbol linked to ancient alchemy ideas. The album artwork helped build the band's dark and mysterious image during their peak years. Another controversial part of Page's legacy involves longtime public allegations connected to Lori Maddox, who claimed in interviews that she was a teenager when she became involved with him in the 1970s. Page has never publicly responded to those claims, but the topic returned to public debate during the Me Too era and remains heavily discussed today. After Led Zeppelin ended, Page continued making music with bands like The Firm and later reunited creatively with Robert Plant. Their 1994 MTV Unplugged special became a huge success, and in 1998 they won a Grammy for Walking into Clarksdale. Meanwhile, John Paul Jones made headlines during Led Zeppelin's 1995 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame induction when he joked on stage, "Thank you, my friends, for finally remembering my phone number," a comment fans instantly saw as a sign of tension inside the band. The biggest moment of Jimmy Page's post-Zeppelin career came years later, on December 27, 2007, during the legendary reunion concert at London's O2 Arena. The event was held as a tribute to Atlantic Records founder Ahmet Ertegun, who had passed away in 2006. For one night only, Led Zeppelin returned to the stage with Jason Bonham, son of the late John Bonham, taking over on drums. The demand for tickets became completely insane. More than 20 million requests reportedly came in for only around 18,000 seats, setting a world record for a single live music event that still stands today. Fans across the world were desperate to witness what many believed would be the final Led Zeppelin performance ever. The concert was later released as Celebration Day and went on to win the Grammy Award for Best Rock Album in 2013. But behind the scenes, there was still unfinished business. Reports claimed Jimmy Page wanted to take the reunion even further and launch a full world tour. Robert Plant chose not to continue, and the idea never moved forward. That final performance captured everything about Jimmy Page's legacy. He was not simply revisiting old memories or chasing another paycheck. He wanted to prove one last time that the force Led Zeppelin created together could still shake an arena harder than almost anybody else in music history. The 18,000 people lucky enough to get inside the O2 Arena that night will probably talk about it forever. And the millions who missed it will always wonder what it felt like to witness Led Zeppelin standing together one final time under those lights. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more legendary music stories and untold rock history. And before you go, here's the big question. Do you think Led Zeppelin could have successfully reunited for a full world tour after the O2 concert? Or was that final show the perfect ending? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next video.